Requirements ensure that cargo securement systems are able to withstand the maximum forces acting on them during deceleration or acceleration when moving backward or sideways, like turning. These systems include tie-down assemblies like chains, wire rope, steel strapping, synthetic webbing, and cordage, as well as other devices that are meant to secure cargo to or in the vehicle. They have to reliably adhere to the manufacturer's braking strength, which is the highest amount of stress that they can handle before failing, and the working load limit, which is the amount of stress it can take on an ongoing basis. To prevent up and down movement of cargo carried outside or partially outside of the vehicle structure, that securement system has got to provide downward force that's at least 20% of the cargo's weight. Now look, I understand it sounds like you might have to do a lot of measuring and figuring, but don't worry. All you actually need to do is immobilize or secure cargo according to the FMCSA general or commodity-specific rules to be in compliance. Otherwise, you gotta make sure your cargo is unable to move or carried in a sided vehicle with walls that are adequately strong and each object's in contact with or close enough to the walls or other objects to prevent it from shifting or tipping enough to impact your vehicle's stability or its maneuverability. Okay, let's look at how to use securement devices to achieve proper performance. You still with me? Let's go.
It seems straightforward enough, fastening a load of equipment down securely. Just throw on a few straps or a couple of chains and away you go. Unfortunately, a piece of poorly fastened equipment, chunk of ice or clay, or weak chain or strap can result in your worst nightmare. Whether large loads or small, as the operator, you need to make sure what you're hauling is secured correctly. It's the law, and the fines for sloppy or incorrect securement can be a shocker. The buck always stops here with you, the operator. On the road, you're ultimately responsible for the lives and safety of the people around you. The vehicle you drive and the items you haul have the potential to cause injury, death, and destruction. The responsibility for making sure this doesn't happen cannot be taken lightly. And the list of items that need to be secured correctly is extensive. According to the North American Cargo Securement Standards, this includes all items that could leak, spill, blow off a vehicle, fall from a vehicle, fall through a vehicle, become dislodged from a vehicle, or shift upon or within the vehicle to such an extent that the vehicle's stability or maneuverability is adversely affected. In other words, everything you're hauling, whether it's in a van, a pickup, a trailer, or a flat deck, needs to be properly secured. And there are right and wrong ways of doing this. By following the correct procedures, you can fulfill your responsibility to make sure this load gets to its destination safely. In this program, we review safe loading and unloading and the proper tie-down procedures for transporting equipment and material, such as the person transporting garden equipment, loading a track skid steer, or a large rubber-tired front-end loader. The goal is to help you transport safely. A piece of equipment tied down with a few ropes and secured with simple double knots to a truck, trailer, or deck is not a safe securement system. All components of a safe securement system are specifically manufactured with rated capacities to withstand the pressure of the equipment and the items you're transporting. You must know the rated capacity of the truck or trailer, the rated capacity of the tie-down points on the truck or trailer, how and where to position the load on the trailer, the proper load tie-down points, and the rated capacity of the hardware, including chains, binders, and hooks. Working together, these components make up a safe securement system. Many operators don't realize that many different vehicles of all shapes and sizes can be considered as transport vehicles. This includes everything from a truck tractor through to pickup trucks, regular trucks, enclosed vans, and even 2- and 4-wheeled sport utility vehicles. Any vehicle that's being used to transport cargo, whether it's a cat, an ATV, a load of lumber, or any one of thousands of things, is considered a transport vehicle. Whatever you're using to transport, you need to know how much you can carry, your vehicle's rated capacity to haul equipment or goods safely. This is also called the gross vehicle weight, or GVW. The GVW of your vehicle is the total mass or weight when loaded. This includes the total of the load, the vehicle, fuel, passengers, and the weight of the trailer tongue. For some vehicles, the GVW can be the manufacturer's rating, or it might be what your vehicle is registered to handle. In other words, it's dangerous and definitely illegal to haul more than the vehicle or trailer can handle. Trailers come in a wide variety of types and sizes and shapes, each designed to safely haul a load. How safe they actually are depends on the trailer's capacity and the effort made to properly secure the items being transported. Trailers should have manufacturer's tie-down points and structures built in to make securement easier and safer. These may include front-end structures, walls, floors, posts, and bulkheads, and such tie-down anchor points as D-rings. Regardless of the types of tie-down points or structures your trailer has, these must be able to hold the intended load and be of sufficient capacity to handle the road conditions that occur when the items are being transported. The rated capacity of the tie-down points should be in the trailer operator's manual. If you don't know, it's up to you to contact the manufacturer and find out. All trailers have a manufacturer's rated capacity for the maximum weight they can safely carry under normal conditions. The rated capacity is generally recorded on a data information plate. The load on the trailer must not exceed the maximum weight shown. Overloading a trailer creates stress on the deck and frame components, axles, wheels, spring suspension, and towing attachment points. Severe overloading also decreases braking efficiency and the steering control of the towing vehicle. The risks of overloading are compounded in severe weather conditions. If you can't find the data information plate, check the manufacturer's operator's manual or contact the manufacturer to find out the rated capacity. It's obvious you need the right trailer for the right load. If it can't handle what you want it to handle, don't use it. The dangers are too great. Okay, so you know your vehicle or trailer's GVW and you're certain it can handle the load you're carrying. Now it's time to do a walk around, a circle check. Walk around your vehicle and trailer to make sure everything's okay. Make sure you're well prepared before loading. Walk around the vehicle, trailer, and loading area and check out the following. Make sure low or flat tires and improperly working lights are repaired. Dangling hoses or wires are removed or secured. That the trailer or transport vehicle is on good firm footing. If one side suddenly sinks into the ground while loading, this could spell sudden disaster. Anchor points, lock pins, panels, and doors are intact. The trailer hitch has the proper rating for the load, and the safety chain should have a working clevis lock. Check that your breakaway system is functioning. Loose tools, timber, or equipment, loose panels, etc. are removed or secured. That all mud, snow, and ice buildup in the loading area and on the trailer bed is removed. And finally, ensuring that there are no overhead wires or obstacles in the loading area that could be a potential hazard. Getting into the habit of taking a few extra precautions before loading is well worth the effort. Some organizations may require documentation for their hazard assessment process. The loading and unloading process really depends upon what your cargo is, and what conditions you're working under. You need to adjust your strategy to fit the circumstances. Obviously, site conditions for loading and unloading vary. When outdoors, weather conditions can change within minutes. Slippery surfaces from snow or mud, along with reduced visibility and severe weather conditions, can dramatically increase safety hazards. Weight and balance on the trailer must especially be considered before loading a piece of equipment like a backhoe. The weight of this machine and where it's parked on the trailer will affect handling, visibility, and overall safety during transport. Remember, the load on the trailer must not exceed the rated capacity. Guessing the load weight is not only risky, it's not smart. Overloading can cause stress on the transport vehicles and create major threats to safety. You must know the weight of the equipment you're loading. The size and shape of the equipment and items you're loading and unloading may create maneuvering and visibility limitations that make loading and unloading a challenge. If you're not sure about how to safely load or unload a piece of equipment, ask someone who actually knows how to do this. It's not as easy as it appears, especially in bad weather conditions. Get someone who is qualified to show you how this is done. A competent operator will know whether to back the equipment on or drive it on forward. Much of this depends upon the type of trailer you're using. Take your time, line up with your trailer, and slowly and deliberately load and unload the equipment. The less turning you do while on the trailer, the better off you'll be. Remember also that tracked equipment has a pivot point when loading, which makes it very difficult. Make sure your conditions are safe, you have an experienced operator, and the trailer is on stable, level ground. Whether moving 2 meters or 2 kilometers, wear the seatbelt provided on the equipment. In the event of a rollover, don't think about jumping clear. The only safe place is inside the rollover protected structure. If you're working with a spotter or guide, make sure you understand the correct hand signals. You may not be able to hear each other over the equipment noise, especially if you're wearing hearing protection. Make sure you have eye contact. Be aware of danger zones or blind spots. Make sure everyone is out of the way. When loading, slow and steady is the key. This gives you time to stop and make steering corrections. If you don't have a guide, try using one of the trailer deck boards to maintain a straight line of travel. There's only one correct position for this equipment on this type of trailer. It's all a matter of weight and balance, both side to side and front to rear. Too far back, and it could lift the back wheels of the tow vehicle. Too far forward can place too much weight on the hitch. On certain types of trailers, too much weight on one axle can also cause an illegal weight overload situation. What applies to smaller pieces of equipment certainly applies to the big guys. Weight and balance are critical even on an 18-wheeler, as they are for ATVs or for the driver hauling lawn equipment. Some equipment may even require special loading considerations. For example, loading steel-tracked machines where there's a greater potential for slippage during loading and unloading. Once the equipment is carefully placed on the trailer, there are a few more steps to perform before beginning the tie-down process. Lower and secure attachments such as buckets, blades, rakes, and other accessory equipment, ensuring height requirements. Engage the parking brake and keep the transmission engaged if required. Shut off the engine and remove the key. Move hydraulic levers back and forth to neutralize any potential stored energy. Set the brakes and/or swing doors and lock pins. Ensure any articulating equipment or oscillating parts are immobilized. If the load extends over the back of the truck or trailer, make sure it's properly flagged. Consult the manufacturer's operator's guide to learn specific shutdown requirements for the equipment you're loading. Make your personal safety a priority. Exit the machine with care, keeping in mind the trailer may be smaller than the equipment just loaded. Do not jump off the equipment. Climb down slowly to avoid misstep and use hand grips where provided. Otherwise, carefully choose what you hold on to. A lot of accidents happen in this simple process. The load is set. You've shut the machine down, put the brakes on, and checked the hydraulics. Now it's time to make sure what you're transporting is secure. This involves some form of tie-down, depending on the load. And as always, you need to dress appropriately. Wearing proper PPE, protective clothing, and accessories is just smart. Most equipment and trailer manufacturers have built-in tie-down points. If the equipment you're hauling has designated tie-down points, use them. Manufactured anchor or tie-down points have been engineered and tested for hauling their rated capacity loads. Look for trouble. Tie-down devices and anchor or tie-down points will wear out with use over time. Be in the habit of checking these each time you use them. If you detect weakness, have them replaced or repaired. The challenge is to make sure this or any load is going to stay in place. That requires a step-by-step approach to securing what you're transporting, using the right equipment in the right way. This chain, for example, must be able to hold what it's supposed to hold. The only way of assuring that it can is to make sure that it has adequate load rating capabilities and is CSA approved. As professionals, you owe it to your fellow workers and all the people on the road to make sure these are right and used right. Chains are the most popular tie-down used for load securement. They're rated for different capacities. The grade most commonly used for transporting equipment and materials is stamped on the chain link as 7, 70, or 700. Besides the grade of the chain, the size of the chain will also be a factor when determining its capacity. Obviously, 0.95 centimeter chain will not be as strong as 1.27 centimeter chain. There are also stronger grades of chain available for even larger loads. Remember, if the chain is not marked, use it as minimum rated chain for equipment tie-down purposes. Wrappers, ropes, or straps are other useful tie-downs, especially for loads that may be damaged using chains. The strength of wrappers is directly related to what it's made of and its width. For example, a CSA 5 centimeter polyester strap wrapper is rated for a 1,513 kilogram capacity, and a CSA approved 7.6 centimeter polyester strap wrapper is rated for a 2,268 kilogram capacity. Select the wrapper that meets your need and ensure you've got the correct number of wrappers to secure the load in every direction. Be aware that these straps are more easily damaged from exposure to sun and severe weather conditions, and from rubbing against sharp edges. Use edge protectors where possible. Check tie-down equipment before every use. Most chains and wrappers will eventually wear out and need to be replaced. There can't be any knots or obvious damage, no distress, no weakened parts, and no weakened sections. A chain link that is nicked, crushed, stretched, twisted, distorted, or has been repaired has lost much of its manufacturer's design strength and should be taken out of service. A wrapper with cuts, tears, burns, and frays is also a safety hazard and should be replaced. Each cut in this fabric decreases its strength. Over time, many cuts and abrasions can weaken this wrapper to the point of being next to useless. What you think is secure is anything but. There are two types of binders, snap or lever binder, and a ratchet binder. Remember, just like a chain, you need to know the rated capacity of each binder you use. Binders should also have their rated capacity listed. For your safety and those around you, keep in mind that a snap binder handle must not extend beyond the boundaries of the trailer and must be tied to the body of the binder to prevent it from accidentally being opened. And never open or close a snap binder with your hand gripping the binder. Use an open palm instead. Be very careful using a snipe or cheater pipe due to the danger of the binder handle and bar suddenly snapping back. Block or brace loads and equipment to make sure they're prevented from sliding, tipping, or rolling. The material used for blocking or bracing must be strong enough to withstand being split or crushed by the equipment or tie-downs. Remember, using damaged or substandard tie-down equipment can cause a safety problem. The tie-down equipment you use makes up a critical component of the reliability of the securement system. Don't take chances with faulty tie-down equipment. Okay, you've placed your equipment or materials where they should be on the back of your truck or trailer, and you've double-checked your straps and chains. The next step is to make sure you secure this load correctly. For equipment, best practices suggest using at least 4 individual tie-down points to restrain the machine from moving in all directions. The tie-downs also need to consist of a combination of chains or wrappers, binders, and hooks, depending upon the weight of the machine. For loads over 4,536 kilograms, 4 individual tie-down points are required. A direct tie-down is anchored to a direct tie-down point on the transport trailer and equipment at all 4 corners, pulling in 4 separate directions. This will prevent the load from moving forward and back, side to side, and up and down. Regulations also require each tie-down to be attached and secured in a manner that prevents it from becoming loose, unfastening, opening, or releasing while the vehicle is in transit. Whatever you do, do not tie knots and chains to shorten them. Making or leaving a knot in a chain is creating a potential breaking point or a point where the chain can loosen. Aggregate Working Load Limit, AWLL. The aggregate working load limit is the sum of the working load limits of each device used to secure an item on a vehicle. If there are 4 separate tie-down points, the AWLL is the rate of all 4 added together. The aggregate working load limit of any securement system must exceed 50% of the weight of the equipment being secured. For example, if the equipment weighs 2,000 kilograms, then the AWLL capacity must be greater than 1,000 kilograms. This is required by law. To clarify, in this example, each component of the securement system has a capacity of 300 kilograms. As a result, the total working load limit of the 4 tie-down points is 1,200 kilograms. This exceeds the weight of the equipment by 200 kilograms, more than 50% of the load. Remember, the rated load limit is usually marked on the component or provided in the manufacturer's operator's manual. If not, contact the manufacturer. In order to determine how well the components of your securement will work together, you must know each component's working load limit, or WLL for short. The working load limit is the maximum load that may be applied to a component of a securement system during normal service. The working load limit for a tie-down is the lowest limit of any of its parts or the anchor points it's attached to, whichever is less. Every device contributes to the aggregate working load limit of the securement system. The component manufacturer usually assigns the WLL. A piece of grade 7 chain may be marked with a 70 or 700 in accordance with the standard of the National Association of Chain Manufacturers. The standard then gives the working load limit for that piece of chain, depending on its size. Carriers are recommended to use components that are rated and marked by their manufacturer. In that way, the carrier, driver, shipper, and inspector can all verify that the proper equipment is being used for the job. In all cases, whether it's a box, piece of equipment, a snowmobile, or a load of lumber, your tie-downs must be able to maintain pressure downward in order to ensure the load you are transporting can withstand a minimum amount of force in any direction: forward, rearward, sideways, or upward in all driving conditions. Some tie-downs are attached to the cargo and provide direct resistance to restrain the cargo from movement. Some tie-downs pass over or through the cargo, creating a downward force that increases the effect of friction between the cargo and the deck of the vehicle. This friction restrains the cargo. The rule of thumb is to use one strap for any load that weighs up to 500 kilograms and are up to 1.52 meters in length. Anything over 500 kilograms and between 1.52 to 3.02 meters in length needs two straps. Anything longer than 3.02 meters requires a strap for every additional 3.02 meters. You need to check the driver's handbook on cargo securement for the standards required for any specialty loads like prefab building materials, pipes, and culverts. Chances are you use a trailer to transport your ATV, and that trailer is a small flatbed you tow behind your car or truck. The last thing that you or anyone wants is to have a four-wheeler come off a truck or trailer when you're driving down the road. When tying down an ATV, use at least 4 separate tie-down points, one for each side of the ATV. Most trailers have several hooks and areas to secure a strap, so look for the closest one and hook the strap in securely. Once all the straps are secured and tightened, take the excess strap and secure it so that it doesn't hang loose. This will prevent the excess from dangling below the trailer and possibly getting caught on something. To test the tie-down job, slightly push the ATV in each direction. There should be no excess sliding of the ATV, and the trailer should move just as the ATV moves because they're securely fastened to one another. It's doubly important to make sure individual pieces in a load don't slide out or come loose. You could be held liable if anything flies off the back of your trailer or truck. And in case you're wondering, the cab shield or headache rack on a light truck or pickup is not considered part of a securement system. Don't be tempted to use this rather than the deck as the anchor for your tie-down. Most racks and vehicles like this are not secure enough to hold a heavy load. Once the equipment is safely loaded and tied down, give it one final inspection, making sure that all legal warning devices are in place and that all your running lights are in proper working order. Consider the impact of flying debris on other people on the road. Before you drive, check for debris like stones and dirt. Carefully check for other loose objects like tools, chains, binders, shovels, or pieces of wood on the trailer. An item such as a hand shovel bouncing off your trailer at 60 kilometers an hour and hitting the windshield of a vehicle behind you can cause a fatal accident. And be doubly sure that your load isn't too high. The quickest way to check this is by using a good tape measure or a pole marked in meters. A few minutes checking the height of your load can save you hours of grief. Now, once your load is secure, remember to buckle up and drive safely. No matter how secure this load is, reckless driving can dislodge it. Then stop periodically to inspect the load, trailer equipment, and securement devices. Regulations say drivers must perform minimum trip inspection requirements before driving, within the first 80 kilometers, and after 3 hours or 240 kilometers, whichever happens first. If the machine has to be set off on or near a busy public roadway, special consideration has to be made for the passing traffic. Use traffic cones or other high visibility warning devices. And when you stop, be sure to park in a safe, flat area. Shut off the vehicle and remove the key. Check that equipment and items have not shifted, that tie-downs are not damaged or weakened, and they're not loosened or undone. Make the necessary adjustments. Law enforcement will be the first to tell you that ignorance is not an excuse. Remember, all drivers have the shared responsibility to protect everyone on or near the road. As you've seen, load securement is not a matter of a few straps or ropes. Any load of any size is a potential hazard on the road. It's your responsibility to make sure this piece of equipment or load stays where it's supposed to stay. If you don't do your job will bounce back to bite you, and hard. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to figure out what this machine, a load of plywood or a flying rake, can do to the vehicles behind. Load securement is everyone's securement. Don't take risks. Do the job right.
In just a few minutes each day, you can prevent hours of frustration and delay down the road. Sound too good to be true? Nope, it's actually possible. Stay tuned as we dig in. If you want your day to go smoothly, you have to make sure that your cargo stays secure. If you don't, you might find yourself wasting a lot of time cleaning up the mess. To properly secure your load, you need to understand 3 things. We can summarize them with the word MAP: movement, arrangement, and product. First of all, movement. You need to know whether something is going to shift or fall over while you're driving. The most likely direction the product will move is forward. This could happen if you step on the brake hard. The second most likely direction the product could move is side to side. This could happen when you make a turn. The least likely direction that product will move is backward. However, it's still a possibility if you back into a dock too hard or if you start moving while you're on a hill. The second thing to understand is arrangement. You need to make sure that the pallets are arranged so that the load is balanced. You want approximately the same amount of weight on each side of the truck so that the truck doesn't lean or tip over. The last thing is the product. Heavy product is more likely to shift. A tall stack of product is more likely to tip or fall. A pallet stacked high with heavy product is especially vulnerable to falling over. These are the pallets that you need to be most careful to secure properly. So I have a load on my truck and I have some pallets that might tip over. What am I going to use to keep them from falling? My favorite is a hydraulic load bar. They're easy to use and they do a great job of holding pallets in place when you use them correctly. To use the bar, we'll first adjust it down here at the bottom, up or down if necessary to fit the truck. Then I'll pump this handle until the top foot reaches the ceiling, and then keep pumping approximately 10 pumps until the bar makes a squeaking sound like that. At this point, the bar is tight, going to hold the load in place. To release it, push the red button and push up on the bar. That will release the hydraulic load bar. You can also use these bars horizontally. Again, you're going to adjust the bar to fit properly between the walls of the truck, put it in place, hold it against one wall, and then use the pump handle to pump the bar out till it reaches the other wall. Then pump it again approximately 10 times until the bar squeaks. Another option for load securement is a non-hydraulic load bar or a locking load bar. These will also do a great job of holding a pallet in place as long as you use them correctly. First of all, set it up here by the pallet. I'm going to push this little latch up and then flip the handle all the way up to release the top part so it'll slide. I'm going to slide it up so it touches the ceiling and then just pull it back a little bit. Adjust it to where it grabs into the cogs of the handle, then pull the handle down and squeeze it until it latches beneath the little catch up here. Make sure that the bar is tight. and the pallet is secure. To release the bar, we squeeze the handle in, push the latch up, flip the handle up, and the bar is free. And again, just like with the hydraulic bars, we can also use this bar horizontally. You're going to adjust it to fit the truck, pull it in tight, latch it. You do have to be careful with these bars that you don't set them too tight. I've actually broken the wall of a truck by setting one of these bars too tight. So make sure that you adjust it properly. The third option for securing your load is a strap. Now these are great for cooler totes or light, taller pallets. To use the strap, you're going to need E-track on the walls like this truck has. I'll pull back on this little latch, slide it up into the track, swing the bottom of the clip down in, tug on it, make sure that it is latched in place. Next, bring it on around the pallet, pull the little latch back, raise it up into the track, let the bottom swing in, drop it down, release the latch. Next, I'll just take the end of this strap here and pull it until the strap is lightly snugged, and then tighten the ratchet until the strap is snug on the pallet. You do have to be careful with this that you don't pull it too tight because you can crush the corners of the pallet and damage product with the strap. To release it, all you have to do is pull back the catch right here, flip the handle all the way back, and it will release the strap. And then we just reverse the procedure, pull back the latch, lift up, and the clip comes right out of the track. When you're finished with a strap, it's important that you store it correctly so that it doesn't cause problems like creating a tripping hazard or making something that a pallet's going to catch on. You can clip them into the E-track on the wall of the truck out of the way and tighten it in place. But the other method is to wrap them up and put them in a crate in the truck or up in the cab of the truck. Pallet jacks are another load securement tool you might not think about. However, because an electric jack has an electric brake on it, it actually makes a great tool for securing pallets. There are a couple of things you do need to pay attention to. First of all, you want to make sure that the pallet jack is tight up against the pallet so that the product won't rock or tip backwards. Also, make sure that the floor under the jack is dry so that the jack itself doesn't slip or move. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're at the warehouse getting ready to leave. It's easy to just shove your jack on the truck and go. But if you take the time now to secure your load, it will save you a lot of frustration later. Remember the map and use it to guide you as you check your load. Look for tall pallets behind short pallets. They can tip forward. Look for tall pallets beside short pallets. They can tip sideways. Look for tall, heavy pallets in front of short pallets because they can tip backwards. Look for pallets with nothing beside them. Make sure the load is balanced. Rearrange the pallets if necessary. And make sure the load is secure at the back of the truck. Whatever it takes, make sure that you are happy with the load before you leave. Once you leave the warehouse, the load is your responsibility. If a pallet tips over and product breaks because you saw an unsecured pallet and did nothing, that's your fault. Sometimes it's impossible for you to check the entire load. We don't expect you to be able to see whether the front pallet on a fully loaded 53-foot trailer is properly secured. But if you can see a problem with your load, you do need to fix it before you leave the warehouse. One final thought, make sure that you have enough securement devices for the entire day. For example, if you're picking up product from a vendor, make sure that you have enough load bars to hold it in place. Every truck or trailer needs a minimum of 3 load bars to properly secure the load, and in many cases, you'll need more than that. As you go through your day, your load is going to change and you will have to pay attention how your truck is loaded. For example, if you take a pallet off the truck, you must make sure that the load is still balanced and that nothing will tip into that spot. If you take product out of a cooler tote, you need to make sure the door flap is secure so that nothing falls out. If you pick up empty crates and bottles, you need to keep them secure so the bottles don't break. This is even more important if you have milk or other product that is returned. If you pick up product from a vendor, you must keep the load balanced, make sure that pallets won't tip over, and be able to access any product still to be delivered. Don't leave stuff sitting loose on the floor of the truck. Stack it on a pallet or use a load bar to secure it. It's easy to neglect load securement as you go through the day, especially if you're only driving a short distance to the next stop. But things can happen very quickly. I've broken unsecured milk bottles while driving around the block. You think, oh, it'll be okay, but it won't be. Take a moment to do the job right so that you don't have to clean up a mess. When you get back to the warehouse, make sure you put everything back where it belongs. If your truck has load bars assigned to it, the best place to leave them is overhead, right below the door track. Make sure to leave a little space so that the door doesn't hit the bars when it opens and closes. Also, make sure the handles aren't hanging down where totes or tall pallets will hit them. If you're not tall enough to put the load bars overhead, just leave them on the floor inside the truck along the wall. If you took straps or load bars along that you don't normally carry in the truck, put them back in the proper storage area of the warehouse. Load bars do break sometimes. The good news is that it's easy to fix them, so make sure to let the lead driver know right away. Broken bars will lead to broken product, so don't keep trying to use them. If the lead driver isn't able to work on the bar right away, ask them where to put it. Don't put broken load bars with working load bars, and don't leave them sitting in random places in the warehouse. I know. You were hoping for a secret time-saving trick that was more glamorous and exciting. But that's the thing about delivery work. Often the things that help you the most are really kind of boring. But hey, boring is good when it means that you're not cleaning spilled tea and broken glass out of the truck. Start by remembering MAP: movement, arrangement, and product. Watch for pallets that are susceptible to movement and make sure they're secure. Make sure the pallets are arranged correctly so that the load is balanced. Look at what product is on your pallets and make sure that the pallets stacked high with heavy product are well secured. Take the time every day to make sure your load is secure before you start your route. This is where the magic happens, and this is where 30 seconds can save you 30 minutes of cleaning up a mess. As you go through your day, keep your load secure. Watch for pallets that could tip over because you moved another pallet. Make sure that picked up product is secured. And don't lose your load bars or straps. When you get back to the warehouse, put things back where they belong and make sure that any damaged or malfunctioning securement tools are removed from service so they don't cause problems for someone else. All right, that's it for today. Keep those loads tight, and I'll see you in our next training.